Sometimes the world tells us that being nice is the key to everything: success, happiness, love. And so we try. We smile when we don't feel like it. We agree when our heart screams to say no. We stay silent to avoid conflict, to be liked, to be accepted. But have you ever stopped and asked yourself, at what cost? Too often, being too nice becomes a prison, a golden cage that looks beautiful from the outside but slowly suffocates you from within. You become trapped in the expectations of others, constantly bending over backward just to make sure everyone else is comfortable while you keep shrinking. But remember this: being too nice is not the same as being kind. Kindness comes from strength, from empathy, from love. But being too nice, that comes from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of criticism, fear of not being enough. When you're too nice, you teach people how to treat you. You tell them, it's okay to take me for granted. It's okay to overlook my needs. You see, people will always take as much as you give. If you keep giving and giving without boundaries, they'll never stop taking. I once knew someone who said yes to everything. Every favor, every request, every demand. They wanted to be seen as good, as helpful, as worthy. But in the process, they lost themselves. Their dreams gathered dust. Their voice became a whisper, and their identity was shaped not by who they were, but by who others wanted them to be. You have a voice, a dream, a purpose. But if you spend all your time pleasing others, how will you ever have the time or energy to pursue what's truly yours? How will you find the courage to walk your own path? Saying no doesn't make you a bad person. Setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish. It makes you strong. It makes you honest. It makes you free. Don't let the fear of disappointing others stop you from being true to yourself. Don't let the habit of niceness silence your voice. Don't let the desire to be liked stop you from being respected. Being too nice traps you in others' expectations. It sounds harsh, doesn't it? After all, we've been taught our whole lives that being nice is a virtue, a sign of good character. We were told to be polite, to be agreeable, to always consider others' feelings before our own. But somewhere along the way, this well-meaning lesson turned into a habit of self-sacrifice, a pattern of putting ourselves last, of bending and breaking just to make others comfortable. When you're too nice, you end up living not for yourself, but for everyone around you. Your words are carefully chosen, not to express your truth, but to avoid upsetting others. You nod in agreement even when your heart shouts a resounding no. You say yes to every request, every demand, every expectation because you fear the discomfort of saying no. You fear the look of disappointment, the possibility of rejection, the risk of conflict. And so you mold yourself into what others want you to be. You become adaptable, flexible, easygoing. You blend in, you fit in, you disappear. The people around you come to expect this version of you, the one who never complains, never disagrees, never disrupts the peace. They start to see you as someone who's always available, always willing, always accommodating. They grow comfortable with the idea that your needs can wait, that your boundaries are flexible, that your dreams are secondary. It's not their fault. You taught them this. You showed them that their comfort was more important than your truth. You showed them that their expectations mattered more than your desires. You showed them that you were willing to bend to keep them happy. So they took you at your word and they came to expect your compliance. But here's the danger. When you constantly live up to others' expectations, you lose touch with your own. You start to forget who you are, what you want, what you believe in. You become a reflection of other people's desires, other people's dreams, other people's needs. You give so much of yourself away that there's nothing left for you. You end up in situations you never wanted to be in because you couldn't say no. You take on responsibilities that weigh you down because you didn't want to disappoint. You find yourself surrounded by people who love the version of you that serves them, but who would walk away the moment you showed your true self. And that's the harsh reality. You've built relationships on a foundation of compliance, not authenticity. You see, when you're too nice, you silence your own voice. You hide your opinions, your desires, your pain. You tell yourself that your discomfort doesn't matter as long as everyone else is happy. You convince yourself that being good means being agreeable, that being kind means being quiet, that being worthy means being selfless. But all you're doing is teaching yourself to shrink, to hide, to disappear. Your dreams start to fade into the background. You convince yourself that they can wait, that they're not as important, that you'll get to them someday. But someday never comes because you're always too busy fulfilling others' expectations. You're too busy being who they need you to be instead of who you meant to be. You become so accustomed to meeting others' needs that you forget how to recognize your own. You forget how to listen to your inner voice, how to honor your feelings, how to protect your boundaries. You start to doubt yourself, to second guess your worth, to question your purpose. After all, if your entire identity is built on being what others want you to be, then who are you when you stand alone? Being too nice creates a false sense of peace. On the surface, everything seems fine. People are happy, conflicts are avoided, and life appears smooth. But beneath that calm exterior lies a storm of resentment, frustration, and exhaustion. You feel drained because you're constantly giving without receiving. You feel unappreciated because your efforts are taken for granted. You feel invisible because no one truly sees you. They only see the version of you that serves them. And that's the ultimate trap. By trying to be everything for everyone, you end up being nothing for yourself. You sacrifice your identity, your dreams, your happiness, all for the sake of maintaining an illusion of harmony. But harmony built on self-sacrifice is just an illusion. It's fragile, it's temporary, and it's exhausting. You may think that by being too nice, you're protecting yourself from rejection, conflict, and criticism. But the truth is, you're only delaying the pain. Because eventually, the weight of others' expectations will become unbearable. Eventually, the resentment will spill over. Eventually, the real you will demand to be seen. The longer you stay trapped in this cycle, the harder it becomes to break free. You become so conditioned to please others that the thought of disappointing them feels unbearable. You become so accustomed to sacrificing your needs that the idea of putting yourself first feels selfish. You become so used to staying silent that the thought of speaking your truth feels terrifying. But here's the reality. You can't live your whole life trying to meet everyone else's expectations. You can't keep molding yourself into what they want, what they need, what makes them comfortable. You can't keep betraying yourself just to keep the peace. If you continue down this path, you'll wake up one day and realize that you don't recognize the person in the mirror. You'll realize that you spent your entire life living for others, while your dreams, your passions, your identity were left behind. You realize that by trying to make everyone happy, you made yourself miserable. But it doesn't have to be this way. You have the power to break free from this trap. You have the power to redefine what it means to be good, to be kind, to be worthy. You have the power to set boundaries, to speak your truth, to prioritize your happiness. It's okay to say no. It's okay to disappoint people. It's okay to walk away from situations that no longer serve you. It's okay to choose yourself. Because the truth is, you can't please everyone. No matter how nice you are, no matter how much you give, no matter how hard you try, someone will always have expectations you can't meet. And that's okay. You were not put on this earth to live up to others' expectations. You were put here to live your truth, to follow your dreams, to be unapologetically yourself. So stop shrinking, stop bending, stop hiding. You are not here to be agreeable. You are here to be authentic. You are here to be real. You are here to be you. It teaches people to take you for granted. When you're too nice, you unintentionally set a pattern. You show others that you're always available, always willing, always ready to help, no matter the cost to yourself. At first, they appreciate it. They thank you. They acknowledge your kindness. They praise your generosity. But over time, it stops being special. It stops being noticed. It becomes expected. People get used to your constant yes. They become accustomed to your willingness to go the extra mile, your habit of putting their needs above your own, your tendency to prioritize their comfort over your boundaries. They don't question it because you never do. They don't stop to think about your struggles, your exhaustion, or your unspoken sacrifices because you never let them see it. You make it look easy. You make it look effortless. You make it look like it's no big deal. And so they begin to take it for granted. They stop saying thank you. They stop appreciating your efforts. They stop recognizing your sacrifices. They come to expect your help, your time, your energy, as if it were their right. They forget that you have a choice because you never exercise it. They forget that you have limits because you never show them. They forget that you have needs because you never express them. It's not that they're ungrateful or malicious. It's that you've taught them to see you this way. You've trained them to believe that your needs don't matter, that your boundaries are flexible, that your time is always available. You've shown them that you will always say yes, even when it costs you your peace, your energy, or your happiness. And once people get used to this version of you, they start to depend on it. They come to you for help, for support, for favors, because they know you won't say no. They pile on requests without a second thought, not because they're selfish, but because you've made it seem so easy. You've made it seem like you have everything under control, like you're perfectly happy to be their go-to person, like you don't have any needs of your own. But the truth is, you do have needs, you do have limits, you do get tired, overwhelmed, and frustrated. You just don't show it. You keep smiling, you keep saying yes, you keep giving, even when it drains you. You tell yourself that this is what it means to be good, to be nice, to be worthy. You tell yourself that you're helping others, that you're making a difference, that you're needed, but at what cost? When people take you for granted, it's not just about feeling unappreciated. It's about losing yourself in the process. It's about giving so much of yourself that there's nothing left for you. It's about sacrificing your time, your energy, and your dreams just to meet others' expectations. It's about becoming invisible not because people don't see you, but because they only see what you can do for them. And the worst part, when you finally reach your breaking point, when you finally try to set boundaries or say no, they don't understand. They feel betrayed, hurt, even angry. They accuse you of changing, of being selfish, of letting them down. They don't see your exhaustion, your pain, your struggles because you've hidden it for so long. They only see the version of you that you created, the version that never says no, that never needs help, that never complains. And so you're trapped by the expectations you helped build, trapped by the habits you taught others, trapped by the need to be nice. You feel guilty for wanting space, for needing rest, for putting yourself first. You feel selfish for setting boundaries, for saying no, for choosing your own happiness. You feel conflicted because you don't want to disappoint anyone, but you're tired of disappointing yourself. This is the cost of being too nice. It's not just about feeling unappreciated. It's about losing yourself. It's about becoming a shadow of who you are, all because you taught people to take you for granted. Niceness out of fear silences your true voice. It's not that you don't have opinions, dreams, or desires. It's not that you don't feel anger, frustration, or pain. It's that you've been conditioned to believe that expressing those feelings makes you difficult, ungrateful, or selfish. You've been taught that keeping the peace is more important than speaking your truth. You worry about upsetting others, about causing conflict, about being judged. You fear rejection, criticism, and disappointment. And so you stay quiet. You bite your tongue when someone crosses your boundaries. You nod in agreement even when you feel the opposite. You laugh off hurtful comments to avoid confrontation. You smile when you want to cry. You say yes when every part of you wants to say no. You do this because you want to be liked, accepted, and loved. You do this because you fear that being honest about your feelings will push people away. You worry that if you show your true self, flaws, struggles, opinions, and all, they won't understand. They won't accept you. They won't stay. So you play it safe. You become agreeable, pleasant, easygoing. You tell yourself that it's better to be nice than to be real, that it's better to be liked than to be authentic. You convince yourself that your feelings don't matter as much as others' comfort. You learn to swallow your pain, to bury your needs, to silence your voice. But the truth is, this niceness is not about kindness. It's about fear. It's about hiding who you are to fit into others' expectations. It's about seeking approval at the cost of your own happiness. It's about betraying yourself just to be accepted. Over time, this habit of silence becomes second nature. You start to doubt your own feelings, your own desires, your own worth. You convince yourself that you're fine, even when you're hurting. You downplay your dreams because you're afraid they're too big, too bold, too much. You minimize your pain because you don't want to be a burden. You dismiss your boundaries because you're scared of being seen as difficult. You start to lose touch with who you are. You become so used to saying what others want to hear, to being what others need you to be, that you forget how to listen to yourself. You forget how to speak up for yourself. You forget how to be yourself. Your voice, the one that knows your dreams, your fears, your truth, becomes a whisper. It fades into the background, overshadowed by the noise of others' expectations, opinions, and demands. You become a spectator in your own life, watching as decisions are made for you, paths are chosen for you, and identities are shaped for you. You want to speak up, to be honest, to be heard, but the fear is overwhelming. What if they don't understand? What if they get angry? What if they leave? And so you stay silent, convinced that keeping the peace is better than risking rejection. But this silence comes at a cost. It eats away at your self-worth, your confidence, your happiness. It creates a growing resentment, not just towards others, but towards yourself. You become frustrated with the world for not seeing your pain. But you're even more frustrated with yourself for not showing it. You feel trapped in a cycle of niceness that suffocates your truth, your dreams, your identity. The world sees you as kind, agreeable, easy to get along with. They praise your niceness, your willingness to go along, your ability to keep the peace. But they don't see the turmoil within. They don't see the dreams you've buried, the pain you've hidden, the voice you've silenced. They don't see the real you because you've never shown them. And the longer you stay silent, the harder it becomes to speak. You fear that if you start now, they won't recognize you. They will be shocked, confused, hurt. They'll question who you are, why you've changed, why you're being so difficult. They'll push back, and you're terrified of that conflict. So you continue to smile, to nod, to agree, to comply. You continue to be nice, not out of kindness, but out of fear. You continue to silence your truth, to maintain the illusion of peace. But this peace is a lie. It's a cage that keeps you small, invisible, and unheard. Niceness out of fear doesn't make you a better person. It makes you a prisoner of others' expectations. It makes you a stranger to yourself. It makes you silent, not because you have nothing to say, but because you're too scared to say it. Boundaries protect your dreams and identity. They are not walls meant to shut people out, but safeguards that keep your essence intact. Yet when you're too nice, setting boundaries feels impossible. You worry about hurting others, disappointing them, or being seen as selfish. You convince yourself that it's better to give in than to cause conflict, that it's kinder to say yes than to assert your needs. But every time you compromise your boundaries, you compromise yourself. Without boundaries, you become vulnerable to others' demands, expectations, and opinions. You allow their needs to overshadow your own. You say yes when you want to say no. You agree to things that go against your values or drain your energy. You give more time, effort, and attention than you can afford. You stretch yourself thin, trying to be everything for everyone, and in the process, you lose touch with who you are. Your dreams take a back seat because you're too busy fulfilling others' desires. You put your goals on hold because you don't want to inconvenience anyone. You bury your passions because you're focused on supporting others. You silence your voice because you don't want to rock the boat. You give so much of yourself that there's nothing left for you. When you don't set boundaries, people assume that your time, energy, and help are always available. They come to expect your constant support and willingness to accommodate. They don't see your exhaustion because you hide it behind a smile. They don't recognize your sacrifices because you never mention them. They don't realize that their requests are overwhelming you because you've never said no. And so they continue to ask, to expect, to depend on you, not out of malice, but because you've shown them that your needs can wait. You've taught them that you will always make space for them, even at the expense of your own well-being. You've demonstrated that your boundaries are flexible or non-existent. But the truth is, without boundaries, you become a doormat. You become someone who is constantly giving but rarely receiving. You become someone who is always there for others but feels alone in their own struggles. You become someone who is praised for their kindness but is secretly overwhelmed and exhausted. It's easy to think that saying yes makes you generous, that agreeing to everything makes you easygoing, that being available all the time makes you reliable. But if it comes at the cost of your happiness, your energy, and your dreams, is it really kindness? Or is it self-sacrifice? Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about protecting what matters most to you. They are about preserving your energy so you can pursue your dreams. They are about safeguarding your identity so you don't lose yourself in others' expectations. They are about honoring your needs so you can show up fully, authentically, and joyfully. When you set boundaries, you teach people how to treat you. You show them that your time is valuable, that your energy is limited, that your dreams are important. You communicate that while you care for them, you also care for yourself. You make it clear that your kindness is not an invitation for exploitation. At first, people might be surprised. They might resist, push back, or question your change. They're used to the version of you who always says yes, who always accommodates, who never complains. They're accustomed to the version of you who put their needs first. But if they truly care about you, they will learn to respect your boundaries. They will learn to adjust their expectations. They will learn to value your time and energy. And those who can't respect your boundaries, they were only there for what they could get from you, not for who you truly are. Boundaries are not just about protecting your time or energy. They're about protecting your dreams and identity. When you say no to things that drain you, you create space for the things that inspire you. When you limit the demands on your time, you open up room for your passions. When you protect your energy, you have more to invest in your goals. By setting boundaries, you reclaim your voice, your choices, and your life. You stop living reactively, constantly responding to others' demands. Instead, you start living intentionally, guided by your dreams, values, and desires. You stop being defined by others' expectations and start defining yourself. Your identity is not built on how much you can give or how agreeable you can be. It's built on your values, your dreams, your passions, and your truth. It's built on knowing who you are, what you want, and what you stand for. But to protect that identity, you need boundaries. Boundaries are not acts of selfishness. They are acts of self-respect. They are declarations of your worth. They are commitments to your growth, your happiness, and your dreams. They are reminders that you matter, that your needs matter, that your life matters. When you embrace boundaries, you don't become less nice. You become more authentic. You don't lose people. You lose those who are only taking advantage. You don't become selfish. You become whole. You don't stop giving. You start giving without losing yourself. Niceness doesn't guarantee respect. You go out of your way to be kind, helpful, and accommodating. You say yes even when you're overwhelmed. You put others' needs above your own. You avoid conflict, keep the peace, and go along with what others want. You do this because you believe that being nice will earn you respect, appreciation, and acceptance. You believe that if you're good to people, they'll be good to you. But that's not always how it works. Respect isn't earned through endless accommodation or self-sacrifice. It's earned through authenticity, confidence, and boundaries. When you're too nice, People don't see your kindness as strength. They see it as weakness. They see you as someone who can be persuaded, pressured, or pushed around. They see you as someone who won't stand up for themselves, someone whose opinions are flexible, whose needs are secondary, whose boundaries are non-existent. You become the person they call when they need a favor, the one they turn to when they need help, the one who listens to their problems without expecting the same in return. You become the reliable one, the agreeable one, the one who never says no. They appreciate your help, but they don't respect your time. They enjoy your support, but they don't value your boundaries. They like your niceness, but they don't respect your strength. The truth is, people respect those who respect themselves. They respect those who have the courage to say no, who have the confidence to express their opinions, who have the strength to set boundaries. They respect those who value their own time, energy, and needs just as much as they value others. When you're too nice, you teach people that your needs don't matter as much as theirs. You teach them that your time is always available, that your energy is unlimited, that your health is guaranteed. You show them that you will bend over backward to accommodate them, even at your own expense. You train them to expect your yes, to depend on your compliance, to take your kindness for granted. And then when you finally gather the courage to say no, to set a boundary, to express a need, they react with surprise, disappointment, or even anger. They question why you've changed, why you're being difficult, why you're suddenly standing up for yourself. They push back because they're not used to this version of you. They're used to the version who always agrees, who always helps, who never asks for anything in return. But their reaction isn't about you changing. It's about their expectations being challenged. They were comfortable with the version of you who put their needs first, who kept the peace, who never caused conflict. They were comfortable with the version of you who made their lives easier, even if it made your life harder. Niceness without boundaries doesn't earn respect. It earns dependence. People come to rely on your compliance, your support, your help without considering your needs. They respect what you do for them, but they don't respect you as a person with your own boundaries, desires, and limitations. True respect isn't built on how much you can give or how agreeable you can be. It's built on authenticity. It's built on being true to yourself, on having the courage to say no when you need to, on setting boundaries that protect your well-being. It's built on valuing yourself enough to prioritize your own needs, even if it disappoints others. When you stop being too nice, you don't become mean or selfish. You become clear, confident, and authentic. You communicate your needs honestly, without guilt or apology. You set boundaries that protect your time, energy, and well-being. You stand up for yourself, not to push others down, but to lift yourself up. People may not like it at first. They may resist, complain, or try to manipulate you into going back to the version of yourself that was easier for them. But over time, they will learn to respect the real you. They will learn that your yes is meaningful because your no is real. They will learn that your kindness is a choice, not an obligation. They will learn that while you care for them, you also care for yourself. The respect you seek doesn't come from endless niceness. It comes from self-respect. It comes from having the courage to be authentic, the strength to set boundaries, and the confidence to stand by them. It comes from valuing yourself enough to demand the same respect you give to others. Niceness alone doesn't earn respect. Authenticity does. Boundaries do. Self-respect does. When you stop being too nice, you stop seeking approval and start commanding. You stop being liked for what you do for others and start being respected for who you truly are.
I went away, 'cause I'm crazy like that. Who was that man? He can't come back. But then again, I got mad in my head. I left my best friend.